What up, what up, what up? This is Ben, aka Joyful Savage. I'm out here in Tainan, Taiwan today. I've been here for the past few days in Taiwan, and right now I'm at this old Dutch fortress from like 1634 or something. The Dutch came over here to Taiwan, which was called Formosa back in the day, and they set up some like trade routes, and that was basically it. And then at some point, the this guy right here, Koxinga, from Qing Dynasty, he came over and took Taiwan back from the Dutch, and that was like 50 years later. And then this guy came in and set up his stuff, and then Qing Dynasty, I guess, ruled this area for a while. It's a pretty cool little fortress. They got some cannons up here, and this tower thing is what I saw when I looked online, but that was only made in like the 1950s, so it's actually low-key pretty beat, not that impressive, but it was about $1.50 US to come in, so it was all good. My throat's a little bit messed up too. I just came from Shanghai. That's where I was living for a while, and I want to make this video on that, basically why I left China, one of those videos, since a lot of those videos are popping up. Mine is like from a different perspective, I would say, than from the average one, because it's not like I was there for that long, but it's just my perspective. And hopefully I can get this video out, maybe just like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, because this is supposed to be closed, I think, already, but oh well. So why I left China? I was in China almost 1 year. If like I added up this time from the day that I came to the day that I left, it was a little bit over 1 year, but I spent like over a month of that traveling in different countries and stuff. But I started off in Beijing, and I lived there for 2 months, and I really liked it initially. And this is something that someone told me, a guy that's lived overseas for a while, but he said something like, I think when you come to a new place, like what initially attracts you to it is like the uniqueness of it being different, but then after a while that those same things actually become like an annoyance and something that you don't like after a while, and the shit that drives you crazy. So initially in Beijing, it was pretty cool because it was a lot different from the US, obviously. I was coming from Miami, and my bad, I gotta get some water. Coming from Miami, so it was a total change of worlds, and I was only there for 2 months because that's what I agreed to for working there. And then I decided to leave there. I traveled a bit inside of China. I went down to Shenzhen. I went to Hong Kong, which is outside of China, and then I went to Shenzhen, and I went to a couple other places, and I went to the Shaolin temples. I did Kung Fu there, and overall I had a good time. And then I went to Shanghai, and I lived there for about 7 months, and then finally decided this last time, because I came to Taiwan twice now, or this is my third time. The first time it was like back in November, 4 months ago, and a few months ago, but I was like, hey, maybe I want to leave China, I want to have a new experience. But I came here, and then I was thinking like, oh, maybe I can't do it because I just didn't feel right about it, or I felt like I could do more in China. But this last time that I came to Taiwan last month, back in January, and it was just after the first few hours, but I was like, I think I'm done with China. So the biggest things for me, the reasons why I think that I left, or why I needed to leave, I was doing kind of like a personal assessment, evaluation of my personal values in life, and like at the top of my personal values is number 1, like personal growth, freedom, maybe number 2, number 3, like connectivity and relationships with people, and I have a few other ones I don't remember off the top of my head, but it didn't seem like I was really able to have that fulfilled within Shanghai. Okay, that's another one. Purpose, a sense of purpose with my life. Because I was in Shanghai, and like there's some cities, every city has a different energy, but in Shanghai, the energy there for me is really just like work, and for a while I didn't understand it. Why? Like, because I came to China and I'm expecting it to be basically how Taiwan is, with a whole lot more temples and spirituality and stuff like this, but the Chinese government has really like stripped away a lot of this from the people. And I was confused at first, but I understand, like, that's just their political agenda, and that's how they plan to basically try and take over the world. good luck to them. But yeah, so the people, they're kind of stripped of their spirituality. They're kind of like a bit soulless and robotic. A joke from one of my friends was like, when you're talking to some of the people, you're like, is there anything in there? Anything at all? Like, kind of saying that they don't really have any essence to them. And I think that's what happens when you're able to control people and you're able to limit them from having access to information. And it's funny because I was reading this in the Tao Te Ching, the ancient Chinese philosophy text, but it talks about if you want to control people, it's like limit their access to information, and you make it so that the astute and the intelligent people dare not act, so they won't do anything. And they really have a good job controlling the people. Like, they're like just in a state of darkness, and after a while, like, I guess I started picking up on that, and I was like, okay, this really isn't a place for me, because freedom is like at the top of my list, personal growth is at the top of my list, and if I'm in a country that doesn't want to promote that, it's not going to be conducive for my growth. So I was like, I just need to get out and switch it up, you know, because you can stay into a place and you can have a good time, you can have a hard time, but you can also stagnate after a while. And I felt like I kind of hit the peak where I could do probably more than I was doing, but at the same time, I was like, it's time for me to just make my exodus and get out of there. So that's the hugest reason with China. And now there's like tension flaring a bit more. I know tension's kind of always been flaring between China and Taiwan, but now USA is in the mix. They've had a recent incident with the Huawei accident, and like Chinese executing Canadian guy like to get back. But that's basically it. The other huge thing about Shanghai is that and China is kind of just the work culture, which I'm not really about. Everybody needs to work for a living, but if you're just living to work, like, there's something wrong with that. It's more like you have some work so that you can live, but they kind of have no higher purpose. The kids are really conditioned from such a young age, like, you just go to school, go to school, go to school, study, 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 and they go to school for like 9 hours every day. And for example, this kid that I was tutoring, 17-year-old, he's getting ready for his SATs. So for like that entire year or something, he's going to school for like 11 hours a day. He's coming home, he eats dinner with his family for like an hour, and then he goes for another like 3 hours of studying. And his health is really like limited and restricted, and like he just kind of has no balance going on, and he doesn't know any better. His parents don't know any better. Like, this is the way that you get above basically in China, because there's not equal opportunities for everybody. It's not like a freely capitalistic society, so you can't just go and do whatever the fuck you want, like if you have the willpower and you have the information to be able to go and do that. So that's another thing, because just too much emphasis for me on schooling, because it's not even productive schooling. The people that can't think for themselves, like, basically the interactions I have with the people is really shallow and surface deep. It's kind of not their fault, but they've just been conditioned by society to kind of only focus on the schooling. But the schooling is basically a rip-off of like the American system, which was like invented back in the Industrial Revolution, if I'm correct. And it's more of just kind of like a system to just teach everybody one size fits all. Like, it's cookie cutter method. There's 30 people in the same class who don't have the same personality, who don't have the same IQ, they don't have the same strengths and weaknesses and emotional intelligences. But that's really just kind of the style of the schooling there. And it's great as a foreigner going over there and be able to teach English and making a shitload of money, but at the same time just felt like there's no actual higher productive growth. And there's some cities that I go to and I feel like this total like energy charge up, and like Los Angeles, for example, when I go there to LA, like I feel this inspired energy inside of me, like, because there's people there for the purpose. They move there to go after their dreams, whether it's like in acting or business or whatever it is, but they're there for a purpose. And a lot of that becomes toxic energy because it's kind of like a false purpose at a certain point if you're not doing it for the right like intrinsic values or reasons. But at the same time, there's enough people doing it for the right reasons and they have a certain energy, and I just feel the energy and I feel inspired like amongst great people and stars, and it makes me feel that I can do it. But within the city of Shanghai, it was almost like they're all like working super hard and they're super busy and they don't have time for shit, but they're not actually chasing after their dreams. It's just whatever was given to them, and they don't have any way out of the system, and it just is what it is. But that's a wrap up of why I left Shanghai and China. Don't think I have anything else really to say other than like People are just busy working. It's tough to like really get relationships with people. There's a lot of the culture just kind of focused on material status, because you don't have a higher purpose, and it's like you just have money and you're like, what am I gonna do with this money? So a lot of it's like wearing Supreme shirts and Gucci bags, and as a woman it's like you're trying to get the husband who's gonna get you to give you all the stability that you can in your life, and then a lot of it's like keeping up with the Joneses. It's like, oh, I have this, so the next person's like, oh, they have that, so I want to get this, and then it's a never-ending cycle, as they say. It's like you're trying to get shit, doing a job you don't want to do, so you can get money, so you can buy shit to impress people that you don't actually like. And that's really kind of just the energy. And at some point I was like, I just need to remove myself, because even there for like 8 months I made some quality friendships, but at the same time though, I was like, it was kind of a struggle, because it's like you really have to filter through this system and like see who's actually cool and who's not. And many of the foreigners over there, there's like this huge kind of British and French influence from back in the day, and these two cultures tend to be really cliquey, and they kind of just stick to themselves. And then there's also like Italian people there, and the Italian people kind of just stick to themselves. Like there is a whole lot of like mixture of the different societies, but they're kind of really segregated. Even within like the Chinese nightclubs and stuff, it's just all like designed to just make money. It's like people are kind of segregated, and that's it. So I hope you like this video. Now I will finally be making more videos. I have complete unrestricted access to the internet here in Taiwan. I don't have to worry about some bullshit VPN, not being able to connect, not being able to watch a YouTube video, and all that bullshit. So I'm gonna get back on this, try and make one video a week, and keep putting it out there. So if you liked it, just check it out, drop a comment, hit like, and hit subscribe, notification bell, and I'm gonna put out some more stuff. So peace.